You know, every single living thing on this planet, from the tiniest bacterium to the biggest blue whale, is essentially playing the same game, survival. But when it comes to passing your genes on, what's the best strategy? Is it better to create a perfect clone of yourself, or to roll the genetic dice and make something totally new? As it turns out, life has two very different master plans for this.
And that really is the central question for us today. Do you go with the copy machine, churning out perfect duplicates every single time? Or do you shuffle the genetic deck and gamble on a brand new combination? Let's break down these two incredible strategies. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the fundamental blueprint for survival. Then we'll get into the copy machine, that is asexual reproduction, and see how it stacks up against the genetic shuffle of sexual reproduction. After that, we'll take a look under the hood at mitosis and meiosis. And finally, we'll see how some really clever species get the best of both worlds. Okay, let's kick things off with the big picture. Before we get into the how, we really need to understand the why. What's life's ultimate blueprint for survival? It really boils down to a simple but super profound rule of the game. If you can't make more of yourself, your species is on a countdown to extinction. Seriously, from a single amoeba to a giant forest, reproduction is the engine that keeps life chugging along. Without it, everything would just stop in a single generation. Okay, so let's jump into that first master plan, what I like to call the asexual copy machine. Think of this as life's ultimate copy-paste function, a strategy that's built for one thing above all else: speed. And the strategy here is just brilliantly simple. You only need one parent. That's it. No need to go out and find a mate, no complex rituals. The result? A new organism that is, for all intents and purposes, a perfect genetic clone of its parent. But, and this is a big but, this strategy comes with a massive trade-off. The upside is just incredible efficiency. Your population can explode in numbers because you're not wasting any time or energy finding a mate. The downside? Well, everyone's the same. That lack of genetic variety means a single disease or sudden change in the environment could be totally catastrophic. It could wipe out the entire population in one go. And that's really why the photocopier analogy works so well here. It's not about being creative, it's about making a faithful copy. You get the exact same thing every single time. And that's fantastic. Until the original has a fatal flaw, and you just keep printing that same mistake over and over again. You can see this in action perfectly with something like binary fission in bacteria. It's this really elegant four-step dance. First, the cell copies its DNA. Then it gets longer, pulling those copies apart. It starts to pinch in the middle, and then it divides. And just like that, you've got two identical daughter cells, and they're both ready to do the exact same thing. All right, so if that's the copy-paste method, what's the alternative? Well, that brings us to life's other master plan, the sexual genetic shuffle. This is not about making copies. It's all about creating variety and being able to adapt. So, unlike that solo act we just talked about, this strategy needs two parents. The whole idea is to fuse two special cells called gametes, like sperm and an egg, to create a brand new genetically distinct individual. And what you see here is the exact opposite set of trade-offs, right? The huge advantage is massive genetic variation. Every single offspring is unique, and that's the raw material for evolution. It gives a species a much better shot at adapting to whatever the world throws at it. But the cost is high, it's slower, it takes a lot of energy, and of course, you gotta find a partner. This is the absolute key takeaway right here. With sexual reproduction, the offspring is a brand new genetic combination. It gets traits from both parents, sure, but its overall genetic makeup, its genotype, is totally unique. It's a remix, not a copy. Okay, so we've got these two big strategies, copying and remixing. But how does it actually happen at the cellular level? To get that, we need to pop the hood and look at the two engines of cell division, mitosis and meiosis. The easiest way to think about it is that they have totally different jobs. Mitosis is like your body's maintenance crew. It's for growth and repair, healing a cut, growing your hair. It makes identical copies of your regular body cells. Meiosis, on the other hand, has only one very specific job, creating the sex cells, or gametes, that are needed to make a new individual. And really, for mitosis, the numbers tell the whole story. A typical human cell starts out with 46 chromosomes. After one round of division, you get two brand new cells that also have 46 chromosomes each. It's a perfect copy, keeping the full set of genetic instructions intact. Now look at the complete flip side with meiosis. You start with that same cell with 46 chromosomes, but after 2 rounds of division, you end up with 4 cells. And here's the kicker. Each one has only half the original number, just 23 chromosomes. This is the crucial step. It makes sure that when 2 of these cells combine, the new organism has the correct total of 46. So, let's put it all together in a final showdown, right? Mitosis, 1 division, 2 identical daughter cells, and the chromosome number stays the same. Its job is growth and repair. Meiosis, 2 divisions, 4 unique daughter cells, and it cuts the chromosome number in half. Its whole purpose is sexual reproduction.
But here's a cool thought. What if you didn't have to choose between copying and creating? It turns out some of the most successful organisms out there have figured out how to have their cake and eat it too, leading to a really flexible future for reproduction. I mean, this kind of flexibility is a huge evolutionary advantage. Take strawberries, for example. When life is good and stable, they can send out these little runners to quickly clone themselves and just take over an area. That's their asexual strategy. But if the environment gets tough, they can switch gears, produce flowers, and reproduce sexually, shuffling that genetic deck to create new combinations that might be better suited to survive. And you know, this whole idea of a flexible master cell that can just copy itself, it isn't just for plants. In fact, we have something really similar inside our own bodies that works on the very same principle of duplication, our stem cells. They're our body's own master copiers. Stem cells are they're incredible. They are unspecified. They haven't really decided what they want to be when they grow up. But using mitosis, that same copying process, they can either make more stem cells or transform into specialized cells like muscle, nerve, or blood cells. They're the ultimate engine for growth and repair in our bodies. And all of this leaves us with one last big question to chew on. We've seen the super efficient but rigid strategy of making a perfect copy, and we've seen the slower but much more adaptable strategy of the genetic shuffle. In a world that's in constant flux, where's the ultimate advantage? Is it in one or the other? Or is true resilience found in the flexibility to choose both? It's a question life is still answering in brilliant ways every single day. Thanks for joining this explainer.